There are lots of things you can spend your tax refund on, but one thing you don't have to spend it on, a new smartphone. Switch to Metro PCS now and get not one, but 2 free 4G LTE smartphones for brands like Samsung and LG. Plus, you're on T-Mobile's blazing fast nationwide 4G LTE network. Hurry! Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free smartphones after instant rebate. One heck of a deal, only at Metro PCS. Limited time offer. Sales tax not included in phone price. Coverage and services not available everywhere. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
Live from Fort Bragg's backyard, this is the show that put the 110 Nation on the map. There is only one nation, the 110 Nation, and you're listening to the 110 Nation Sports Show, covering each and every sport across the board. There is no sport too large or too little. It's time to talk the talk. Here we go. Here's the man, the founder, and your host, Mr. CJ Sports.
I want to welcome everybody to the 110 Nation Sports Show. I am your host, Mr. CJ Sports. You can follow me at CJ Sports 1. You can follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Sorry, I just had a quick brain fart. You can check me out on Facebook at Mr. CJ Sports. You can check out the 110 Nation fan page, 110 Nation Sports. Also check out our blog site, www.the110nationsports.com. Check out our company site, www.the110nation.com for all the latest going on here at the 110 Nation. God, just trying to get back into the flow of things. Just been one of those days. Just one of those days. Oh my goodness. As promised, it's going to be a lot more interesting than I thought. We're as promised today, we're going to venture into the Super Bowl, and we're having our own little Super Bowl party here. And what I mean by that is, we're going to talk about stats. We're going to talk about records and a little predictions here tonight as we prepare ourselves 2 days away from the biggest football game of the year, Super Bowl 50. And I figured what better way we talked about, those Super Bowls last year, especially the last 30 that I can remember myself and watching. Looking out for those that I tweeted in and had messaged me about their Super Bowls. I don't know if I think there was one person that actually had seen more Super Bowls than I can recall watching. But most of everybody else was a little bit short, not so many in a row, and don't remember watching it quite as long. So it's, I want to thank everybody that participated and tweeted in at CJ Sports 1. But also it was just nice to just to see how big this game really is for everybody and how many people, make sure that they are in front of a TV one way or another for the Super Bowl. And so it was good to get the listener participation, but also just to kind of get an idea how important this game is to so many people out there. So I want to thank all those that tweeted in. If you guys missed yesterday's show or you want to participate still, all you got to do is hit me up at CJ Sports 1 on Twitter. or message me on my fan page, Mr. CJ Sports. I was curious, for the last 49 Super Bowls, how many you had watched, and then more specifically, and when I said watch, at least a quarter, not just you happened to be walking by a TV while it was on, but also I was curious to know how many in a row that people had caught backings from last year. So as Jared Smith is on fire tonight, as I'm getting tweets and messages and everything else in the studio tonight. So how many Super Bowls have you watched in the first 49 as we're creeping up 2 days away from Super Bowl 50? And how many in a row, dating back to the Super Bowl 49, back in a row, have you watched in a row? I came across this. I've not done it, and I know some of the answers to this, so this is going to be all kind of, I guess it's one of the things I should have previewed before the show, but now you're going to get my raw knowledge when it comes to the Super Bowl. There's a little quiz I saw on Facebook. How much do you know about football's biggest games? Winners, losers, players, coaches, performers, and even the commercials. How much do you know about the Super Bowl? First question: which number is Super Bowl? Or which number is the 2016 Super Bowl? Of course, it's Super Bowl 50. And why did I click on that answer and everything just went blank on it? There we go. I don't know if they're going to give me my score as I go, or if it says in progress. It'll tell you how many you got so far. So we'll see how this goes. Green Bay Packers face which team in the first? That's the only thing you think about doing these things. You get commercials and spams and everything else in the middle of this. Just let me do this. And this is off the Washington Times. So we'll be progress. Which team did the Green Bay Packers face? The Green Bay Packers face which team in the first Super Bowl? Of course, that was the Kansas City Chiefs. But tell me that answer is correct. He didn't say nothing on the first one. I know it was Super Bowl 50, so. Next question. You're going to do the jump now. Pension registered voters. Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton? Got to be shot in the forehead if you vote for Hillary Clinton. No ifs, ands, and buts about that one. Come on. Get to the next one. I'm not hitting it. Might not be able to do this quiz with you. It might take too long. Who was MVP in the first Super Bowl? Roger Staubach, Bart Starr, Joe Namath, or Terry Bradshaw. I'm going to go with Bart Starr. And that was correct. See, not only do I get to do this quiz, but I get to educate everybody for those that may not know the answers to this, or may not be. I'm hoping that I will continue to know the answers. 3 for 3 so far. So, like I said, we might not be able to do this because if it continues going at this snail's pace, then we're not going to continue doing this. But I am not going to hold up the show to do a quiz here. I just thought it would be really cool to be able to kind of start off talking about taking a quiz talking about the Super Bowl before we led into talking about records and stats, predictions, and all that snazzy stuff that goes on when it comes to the Super Bowl. Next question. Who was the MVP of Super Bowl? Good God, I don't know my numbers here. That's and that 10, 49, maybe? That must be 49. And if that's the case, I'm going to go with Malcolm Butler. So I'm going to assume that thing for 49. That's the only thing. But I don't know my Roman numerals quite that high. Nope, it was Tom Brady, so obviously it was not. Oh, yes, that's right, Super Bowl. Or Tom Brady did win the MVP, but he gave the truck to Butler. I forgot. I was thinking that he won it. Oh, wow, got it wrong. Which quarterback became? Come on, move it up the rest of the way. Getting a little bit faster here. I want to X you out. I don't know what you are. You might be pulling this up a little bit here. God, I can't believe that I got that one wrong, honestly. Should have known that. Should have known better. Next question on the quarterback became the first player to throw for over 400 yards in a single Super Bowl game. I got the choice of Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Kurt Warner, or Donovan McNabb. Probably going to get this one wrong, but I'm going to go with the greatest show on turf. I'm going to go with Kurt Warner. Like I said, I'll probably regret that answer. No. Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner. Kurt Warner threw for over 400 yards, first quarterback in a single Super Bowl game. How stupendous. And the next question. Oh, and this is the only thing that sucks about doing this stuff live. I almost recorded this show and just did a pre-recorded show for stuff like this right here. Because honestly, it should not take that long. Which team has most Super Bowl wins? Wow, I feel like I really should do this one. Lottie Dottie, I'm going to go with the Steelers. I have a feeling that is wrong. Go with Dallas, New England, 49ers. No, the Steelers are correct. Like I said, I know I should know. It's one of the things when you hate a team so bad, you don't really care about their stats at all. And, you know, like I tell everybody, I hate the other 31 teams. There's only one team I like. But at the same time, when you're a Cleveland Browns fan, you have a tendency to Next question, which team played in 4 Super Bowls but never once held a lead? Which team played in 4 Super Bowls but never once? Did the Minnesota Vikings ever go to 4? Did Buffalo never hold the lead at all? Obviously, New England has, and the Denver Broncos have. So now I'm down to the Minnesota Vikings. I don't recall the Minnesota Vikings being in 4 Super Bowls, though. I know the Buffalo Bills lost 4 straight Super Bowls, but I guess they're obviously I'm going to go with. I didn't realize not only did they lose 4 in a row, that they possibly did not have a lead. No, it wasn't the Minnesota Vikings. I don't remember if the Minnesota Vikings had won the 4 Super Bowls or not. I thought the Buffalo Bills had a lead at some point at the game. I didn't think they managed to go to 4 Super Bowls straight. Not only just go to 4 Super Bowls, but go to 4 Super Bowls straight and never even once held a lead. I mean, those Dallas losses, obviously, that was a good chance. Out of 32 teams, how many teams have won 3 consecutive Super Bowls? Has there ever been a team? I don't think there's ever been a team. I'm going to go with 0. I think Dallas won 3 out of 4. I don't think there's ever been a team to win 3, and that is correct. Never has there been a team to win 3 consecutive Super Bowls. Dallas a couple times. I know New England a couple times. Green Bay, well, not a couple times, but they won a couple games. There might have been one other team in that run that has at least got 2 wins outside of New England. Steelers might have 2 in a row, too. Dallas and Green Bay definitely with 2 wins. But no team in NFL history has won 3 consecutive Super Bowls. And obviously we will not have that again this year with New England not being in this year's Super Bowl. And obviously we will not have a run of either one of these 2 teams unless all of a sudden Carolina gets the luck of the draw and gets 2 more of ridiculous easy seasons. Which 2 head coaches have been to the most Super Bowls? We got Shula and Joe Gibbs. We got Don Shula and Bill Belichick. We got Bill Belichick and Mike Holmgren. And we got Tom Landry and Joe Gibbs. I'm going to go with Don Shula and Joe Gibbs. It's my duo with the most Super Bowls. I don't know, maybe I should have went with Bill, but I should have went with Bill Belichick and Don Shula. That was the correct answer. What I'll do is I'm going to start popping in here over the NFL records while we're waiting in between questions. So we can talk about some of these NFL records as well. That was also part of this show. I honestly didn't realize it was going to take this long for it to constantly go through. Interesting in quarterbacks. We're going to talk about bold records here. And what possibly we can expect. Highest passer rating, a career of 40 attempts, Joe Montana with a 127.8. Jim Plunkett of the Oakland/LA Raiders in 2 games was a 122.8. Terry Bradshaw, Pittsburgh, 4 games, 112.8. Most passes attempted in a career, 247 by Tom Brady. Neither one of our quarterbacks are on this list. Most passes attempted in a game, 58 by Jim Kelly. 51 by Donovan McNabb, Dan Marino, Jim Kelly, Tom Brady all had 50 attempts. None of these records I feel that so far we are going to come close to or even beating this year in the Super Bowl. Well, with with Peyton Manning's arm and age, nobody's expecting him to throw for 50-plus attempts, nor and obviously most passes attempted, with neither one of them being on the list. They're not going to jump into the list, and especially Cam Newton, this being his first Super Bowl. Peyton Manning, this being his 5th or 4th Super Bowl, there's a possibility he could jump into, that top 3, but it's very, very unlikely. Peyton Manning is 2nd on most passes completed in his career for Super Bowl 3 games. He's 74 passes away from Tom Brady, so obviously that is not nothing he will jump and leap over. But let's go to most passes completed in a game. Tom Brady holds that record against Seattle last year with 37 passes completed. Peyton Manning does have the 2nd spot and the 4th spot. 34 when Denver played Seattle. Imagine it was 43-8, and you had 34 completed passes. Also had 31 passes with Indianapolis when they played the New Orleans Saints. This year, no. I don't think either one of those teams, either one of those quarterbacks will have that many completed passes. Who won Super Bowl 49? Obviously, that was the Patriots. I will click that answer in so we can get moving to the next question. But I just It's not in. It's of course that's correct. I know that answer. It's not in Peyton Manning's best interest to have to throw the ball 30 plus times to complete and not only throw it, but you're talking about completed passes. And we know Cam Newton is not going to, especially against this defense, is not going to have that kind of success to be throwing that ball that often. I expect if any record that Cam Newton is going to break, it's going to be with his feet, not the lack of his accuracy or attempts or anything else. Most consecutive completions in a game, Tom Brady had 16. Peyton Manning's made this list with 9 when he played against the Chicago Bears. Most consecutive completions, I could see either one of these quarterbacks at least breaking 9 into this game. We got a nice little long list of most consecutive completions in a game. 9 with Jim Kelly, Neil O'Donnell, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Steve McNair with Tennessee, and, of course, Peyton Manning when he was with the Indianapolis Colts. I could see with their game plan a lot of short passes. As long as, in their run, they don't try to air one out. If Peyton Manning doesn't decide to try to go deep with Emmanuel Sanders or Cam Newton doesn't try to go long to Ted Ginn, if they take the time and dissect that defense and just pick that defense apart and the offensive line gives them both a chance, I could see either one of them at least having 9 straight completions, even 10. Phil Simmons against that Denver defense with the Giants, Troy Aikman when they played the Steelers, Kurt Warner when he was with Arizona against the Steelers, and then Drew Brees, that New Orleans-Indianapolis game. That was 10. Joe Montana, the San Francisco 49ers against Denver, when he did it in the Tom Brady against the Giants, had 16 consecutive completions. I don't think we're going to see 13 and 16 consecutive passes. Cam Newton is not that accurate of a quarterback, and Peyton Manning is kind of past those days. I don't know what people were expecting of Tom. I'm sorry, I keep wanting to say Tom Brady, but Peyton Manning, I'm not expecting a lot of passing yards. I'm not expecting him to throw the ball a whole lot. I would more expect somewhere between 18 to 22 completed passes. Is all I'm really expecting out of Peyton Manning this weekend. Back to the quiz. Who performed with Left Shark in the halftime show in 2015? Katy Perry, Beyonce, Miley Cyrus, Madonna. It seems like Katy Perry was our performer last year in the 2015 Super Bowl, so that's what I'm going to go with. That is correct. So I just don't see it. Completion percentage, highest percentage, completion percentage in a game with at least 20 attempts. You had Phil Simms in that Giants-Denver game, 88%. Drew Brees against that Indianapolis Colts team was 82.1%, and Joe Montana against the Denver Broncos was 75.9%. No, I don't see either one of these quarterbacks making the top 3 in this record as well. Tom Brady, I keep on saying Tom Brady. Peyton Manning, age, once again, just not been that. I don't think he's ever really been that high percentage of a quarterback. Not 75 plus. Cam Newton, you got to be kidding me if anybody thinks that his arm is anywhere close to being. I mean, once upon a time, he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with a wide open field and then just him in a barn out there. Now, he can hit every once in a while. Not going to hit it every time. And so I don't see either one of these throwing for 75% or better. And it's going to take 76 or better to get into the record books for the Super Bowl. Yards gained in a game, Kurt Warner, 414 yards. And then Kurt Warner, and Kurt Warner owns this record. Most yards in the Super Bowl, 414 yards with St. Louis when they played the Tennessee Titans. 377 yards with Arizona against the Steelers. And then Kurt Warner, 365 yards when he was back, originally with the St. Louis Rams against New England. Do I think either one of these? No. If this would have been 2-3 years ago, I could see Peyton Manning possibly doing it, especially that year where they just shattered everything, scoring, passing, touchdowns. Now, I just don't see it. Peyton Manning just does not have the arm to do it, and Cam may throw for no almost 400 yards. It just ain't happening. Longest pass completions, Jake Delhomme. Who would have thought? Carolina Panthers, 85-yard pass. Brett Favre had an 81-yard pass against the New England Patriots. All these against the New England Patriots. And then tied for third, you got Jim Plunkett, Doug Williams, and John Elway. This record could happen. Either one of these quarterbacks could, honestly, I could see them making it with Emmanuel Sanders or Ted Ginn and what he's done. I mean, he's a kick returner, so it's not too far-fetched and out of his nature to turn what should be a simple play into a deep play. Both of them had weapons. Both of them had good receivers. I could see either team lucking out, and I don't think it would necessarily be a deep ball that gets them. I'm thinking more of a couple broken tackles in one hell of a yard after catch scenario. But I could see either one of these quarterbacks making this list and putting their name in the record book. Highest average game in a game, 20 attempts, Terry Bradshaw. Terry Bradshaw has a lot of these records. 14.71. Jim McMahon has 85 Bears, 12.8. Jim Plunkett, 12.4. You're asking a lot of work out of the wide receivers. I don't see it. Neither one of these quarterbacks are deep ball quarterbacks at this point of their career. Cam Newton's never going to be, and Peyton Manning's past that time. Most touchdowns in the game, Steve Young obviously has the record with 6. Joe Montana has 5. Then you got Terry Bradshaw, Doug Williams, and Troy Aikman with 4. I can see, honestly, I could see, with the way that that receiving core is for the Denver Broncos and to include their tight end, I could see Peyton Manning having 4 touchdowns game. I don't see Cam Newton throwing 4 touchdowns. There's a possibility he'll run for a couple or throw a couple, but I don't see him throw for 4 touchdowns. So that's all the ones I'm going to jump into in the quarterback position. Now we're going to run into another position. Let's jump back here. We got another question we got to answer here on the how much you know about the biggest game. Which Super Bowl halftime show featured the infamous halftime performance by Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake? Oh, my Lord. Oh, God, what year was that happened? Oh, God, 2001, 2004, 2006, or 2009? No, it wasn't 2006. That's a little too recent. 2009. I'm thinking possibly 2006. I don't know. Because of them, though, it's been garbage at halftime. It has not been entertaining. Actually, I think it was before 2006, but I know it was before the Chicago Bears and the Indianapolis Colts halftime shows. I remember seeing that. Let's go with 2004. It's probably going to be the wrong answer, but I'm going to venture with the 2004 Super Bowl. But, yes, the unfortunate of that happening makes us in it. That's correct. 2004 Super Bowl 38. It really sucks because ever since then, good God, the garbage that they have put at the halftime show to include this year didn't get no better. You got Lady Gaga with the national anthem and Coldplay for your halftime. It's just because of them too. It's been complete garbage at halftime. Like it's been horrible. And it seemed like that halftime show with the Chicago Bears and the Indianapolis Colts. It seemed like it was Prince at that halftime. That's what it seems like anyway. Rushing. So let's talk about some rushing records that outside of maybe the quarterback, I don't think that we'll see any running records be beat this year. Most attempts in the game, John Riggins has 38. Larry Zonka had 33. That's your lower end of it. Yards in a game, 204 by Timmy Smith, the Washington Redskins against Denver. Marcus Allen with the Raiders had 191, and John Riggins with the Washington Redskins had 166. Like I said, I don't think that we're going to see any of these records be taken down. Longest run from scrimmage, Willie Parker, the Pittsburgh Steelers, 75. Marcus Allen with the Raiders, 74. And then Tom Matty and Timmy Smith both had 58 yards. Highest average gain in a game with at least 10 attempts. Tom Matty of the Baltimore Colts back in Super Bowl III, 10.5 yards a rush. Had 11 rushes for 116 yards. Marcus Allen with the Raiders, once again, 9.6 yards with 20 carries for 191 yards. And Willie Parker, 9.3 yards a rush when they played the Steelers. He had 10 rushes for 93 yards. Most touchdowns in a game, this is a very long list. Needless to say, you need to at least have 2 or more. There's only one player with 3, and that's Terrell Davis of the Denver Broncos against the Green Bay Packers. There's a long list of 2, and I'm not going to spit all those off. Outside of Cam Newton, I don't see any of those records. Now we might see 3 rushing touchdowns by Cam Newton and put him on that list, but when it comes strictly from the running back position, I just don't see neither one of these teams have really a threat of a run game at all. So those are your rushing records. Not a lot to load about. Receiving records. Let's see what we got going on here. Most receptions in the game, we got Demaryius Thomas, Denver against Seattle at 13. We got a long list of 11 and 10. Some of the higher profile names. 11 receptions, Gary Rice, Deion Branch, Wes Welker. And on the 10 list, you got Jerry Rice, Andre Hastings, Deion Branch, Joseph Ade. Those are some of the names. So most receptions, 10. Do I pick anybody this year? I would be shocked if anybody makes this list. 10 receptions or more in the Super Bowl. I really would. I just don't see any one target being. It is not really a shot against the receivers, and it's not even really a shot against the quarterback at this point. Either one of the quarterbacks. It's more of both these defenses play good defense, and their quarterbacks are really well. And I just don't see Josh Norman allowing any one receiver, nor am I expecting any of the Denver Broncos quarterbacks or safeties to allow any one receiver to have their way with them. So neither one of those, that record, I don't think will be anybody from this Super Bowl will take that record down. Most yards gained receiver-wise. Jerry Rice, 15 yards. Ricky Sanders of Washington, 193 yards, and Isaiah Bruce, 162 yards with St. Louis. Once again, this is not a record that I see anybody taking out this year. It is not. Longest reception, 85 yards by Muhammad of Carolina. 81 yards by Antonio Freeman of Green Bay Packers, and you had 3 of them with 80, Kenny King, Ricky Sanders, and Rod Smith. And like I said, this record, I can see it being very feasible, but it's a record that is going to consist of a lot of yards after the catch. Like I said, I'm not expecting either one of these to throw a long ball. But at the same time, I just wouldn't be shocked if we saw somebody with 80 or plus yards. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw someone 90 yards this Sunday. Like I said, you got some very athletic and talented receivers, and then you got Ted Ginn, who's a return specialist and everything else. Back to the question, the survey, which hit reality show premiered its second season after Super Bowl 35. Wow, 15 years ago. Was it Survivor, The Amazing Race, Big Brother, or The Voice? I'm going to go with The amazing race. Seemed like Survivor was a lot longer than that, and didn't seem like, no, it was Survivor that debuted for Super Bowl 35. Most touchdowns in a game, you got Jerry Rice with 3, and then you got a whole long list with 2. I don't see any receiver catching 2 touchdowns or more. I just don't see it. I see the Broncos team spreading out their touchdowns, and I honestly think that Cam Newton is going to have the majority of their touchdowns. That's just what I see. Most points in a game, you got 4 players with 18 points. Roger Craig, Jerry Rice, Ricky Waters, all of the San Francisco 49ers, and Terrell Davis of the Denver Broncos. Got 15 with Don Chandler from the Green Bay Packers back in Super Bowl II. And then 14 points for Ray Wersching of the San Francisco 49ers against Cincinnati in Super Bowl 16. That was 2 extra points and 4 field goals. And then Kevin Butler of Chicago against New England back in Super Bowl 20 with 5 extra points and 3 field goals. We could possibly, I could see a lot of points by kicker going this weekend, especially at the Denver side of the ball. I could see that. I think Carolina, if they get themselves 9 out of 10 times in position to score, they're going to punch it into the end zone. They're not just going to be going for field goals. So that's, Back to the quiz. How many Super Bowl rings does Hall of Fame quarterback Dan Marino have? 0. Poor Dan Marino. I didn't mean to laugh. He was one hell of a quarterback. It's just a shame that not only is it a shame that he doesn't have a Super Bowl ring, then it's a shame that his single season passing yard record gets shattered because of the way the rules of the league change and what record sat for 20 years or so end up getting beat because this has gone to a pass-friendly league, pass-happy league. Touchdowns, most in a game, we got a crap ton with 2. We got 3. We've already done this one. I went from scores, but it was scores, the same list as for scores and touchdowns, obviously. I think that's all the records. Let's talk about curious to know what yardage is. Let's see that's combined yardage. Well, let's do, because Ted Ginn could be a participant in this. Most yards gained in a game. Jacoby Jones, the Baltimore Ravens, Baltimore, 290 yards. You have Andre Coleman and Desmond Howard with 244 yards. Ricky Sanders with 235 yards, and Antonio Freeman with 230 yards. And that can be a combination of rushing, receiving, interception returns, punt returns, kick returns, and fumble returns. Most yards in a career, Jerry Rice, 4 games, Super Bowl, 604 yards. Franco Harris, 468 yards. Roger Craig, 410 yards. I tell you what, it's just really cool to know some of these stats. Like, until you take the time to sit down as you're preparing for the Super Bowl, you wouldn't ever think about some of these stats and records that are just amazing. Back to the quiz. All of these teams followed up a Super Bowl win with a Super Bowl loss the following year, except for we know Seattle did. I don't think the Packers did. We know the Steelers and the Reds did. I'm going to go with the Packers. I think that they never went back-to-back with a win and a loss. I know they went with a win-win, and it was the Steelers. So I was wrong. So that's the answer on that one. So let's jump back over to the records while that reloads for the next question. But like I said, it's just really cool to be able to sit down here and think about some of these records. And, you know, think about, God, I remember that player, and I remember that happening, or I remember watching the highlights, or, you know, what a remarkable player, you know, how are they able to accomplish, you know, this record or these stats? And, you know, and then part of you was like, wow, you know, I had no idea. Like, I was clueless that who held that record or what they were able to accomplish. And, you know, this weekend, you know, I could see possibly Peyton Manning, you know, after 4 games, I don't think Peyton Manning is going to get any single game records. I would be shocked. He might jump into the record books for career in the Super Bowl, especially with 4 Super Bowls now. Cam Newton, like I said, I could see him in the record book, but it would be rushing attempts, yards, and touchdown by running them in. Those are the records I'm expecting for Cam Newton. Any high percentage records? No. Like I said, once upon a time, maybe Peyton Manning, but there's no doubt that Cam Newton is not going to shatter any high percentage records. We know that he is not a high percentage passer. Like I said, there was once upon a time that you would be better off betting on him not hitting the broadside of a barn on an open football field with just him in the barn out there. Now, you got a 50-50 shot he's going to hit that barn. So nobody's counting on that. And nobody's, you know, like I said, we might get a consecutive run of 8 or 9 completed passes, but not a shot at the quarterbacks, more of a shot at the fact that both of these defenses, I just don't see them allowing the other teams to run up and down the field on them when it comes to receiving. Rushing side of the game, neither one of these teams are really known. Hillman nor Stewart are really, nobody's really expecting either one of these two teams to put up any kind of crazy stats for the Super Bowl. They're just not. And defensively wise, we could see some phenomenal defense. We might see either side of the ball. We might see some records be broken. If it's interceptions in a game, fewest yards, and you know the defense is allowed in a game. I could see that possibly happening. Both of these defenses have very strong key components there, and so therefore it wouldn't necessarily shock me if we had a record or two set because of these defenses. The special teams, I'm not really expecting much out of either one of these special teams that would put either one of their teams or players in the record books, outside of maybe the field goal kickers, and more so towards the Denver side. Like I said, I think the Panthers side, if they get on that side of the ball, the odds are they're going to find the end zone. It's either going to be a scenario where they punt or they're in the end zone. I don't see a lot of field goals coming out of the Carolina Panthers. But tell you what, it's going to be an interesting Super Bowl. It might not be the funnest. Who knows? I hope my prediction is wrong. Of course, I am praying and hoping that the Carolina Panthers lose and ends up being a Bronco victory, but I just really have this bad feeling very unsettling. It's had my stomach all twisted and turning for the last couple of days. That is going to end up being a Carolina Panthers victory, and a good chance that it might be a lopsided victory at that. And that's just really disturbing because I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. No way, no how. What's the name of the Super Bowl trophy? Of course, that is the Vince Lombardi trophy, but your other choices were the Heisman Trophy, the Champions Cup, and the Stanley Cup. One number you can get that one wrong. Yes, I know it's correct. So not bad. Other than that, Steelers back-to-back Super Bowl, 1 win, 1 loss. Actually, the Vikings four Super Bowls without ever leading. And then I forgot that Butler did not win the MVP, that it was actually Tom Brady. He just gave him the vehicles. I remember Butler getting the truck. Not too bad so far. We're about 64% through this. Which quarterback has a Super Bowl ring and was also an MVP in the short-lived XFL? You got Doug Flutie, Tommy Maddox, Coy Detmer, and Seneca Wallace. I'm going to go with Maddox on this one. Probably not right, but no, it is correct. I don't know. That just seemed like the name. And I didn't know he was in the XFL. It's a shame that the XFL didn't last longer. That was an interesting thing and concept. And it's also helped revolutionize the NFL. Which network will air Super Bowl 50? I'm going with Fox. Probably wrong on this one. Probably one of the other. Yep, CBS. Why is it Fox any other time that I want to watch a football game? It is Fox, but not the Super Bowl. NFL going to Mexico next year. I thought that was rather interesting. I think the NFL's doing a little too much with this. I think they need to cool their jets. There's an opportunity that for all these people to catch all these games on TV if they really want to catch it. Why put your players in harm's way for all the stuff that's going on around the world? Why inconvenience everybody and have them go here, go there, go to London, go Mexico, everywhere else they have these players to go just to play in front of a crowd that can watch it on TV? And I guarantee you, if the economy is that bad that they can't watch it on TV, then they're not going to be able to afford to go to the football game. So you're really not benefiting either way. As a matter of fact, you're kind of hurting yourself because now you're not going to have a full stadium. And so, therefore, you're taking away from what would probably have been a sellout stadium to a partially full stadium in Mexico. Makes no sense. Back to the quiz. Who was the first player to say I'm going to Disney World after winning the Super Bowl? You got Joe Montana, Troy Aikman, Doug Williams, or Phil Simms? Oh. I'm going to go with Phil Simms. I know this is, I was going to say, I know this is probably definitely not going to be the right answer, but sure enough, it is the correct answer. I'm not doing too bad with this. But yes, to Mexico, the NFL goes. Like I said, I find that to be really interesting. I think that you start going too far in too many places. You start shooting yourself in the foot with this, and I don't know how long and how far this is going to continue to be a thing. And I know that they're talking about having a team in London and everything else. I think it's a bit much. This is an American game. Leave it as an American game. This is not about a race thing or American thing or whatever. It is what it is. You know, they each have their sports, and they have their football, even though it's soccer, but they have their thing. And why are we continuously trying to push our product and our stuff on everybody? Like I said, they want to watch it. They got to wait. There's plenty of networks that cover the football game. I am not quite sure why you want to kind of stretch your players out, and you hear the players talk about the jet lag and getting used to the time, and you kind of spend half the week adjusting your body to the time difference, more so the London game, to play a game, to turn around and have to readjust yourself. I just think it's too much of a hassle. The NFL's trying to do too much. You need to focus on what the product is and what you have going on here versus worrying about playing 2 games in London, playing a game in Mexico, and playing a game here, and playing a game there. Why are we focused on making the product better and just continue growing the product where it's at versus continue to put on a half-ass product and playing it all around all around the earth? I mean, we can work on improving the referees. We can improve on improving the rules. We can go back to actually being a man's game versus a boy's game with the 2-hand touch garbage that they got going on. Like, there's so much about the sport that needs focus and attention, and yet they're focused on putting a game in Mexico and 2 games in London and getting teams to make this travel. I mean, it's gone from it being a Sunday game to it's a Thursday game and some Saturday games, and families now. Once upon a time, it was like one Thursday, one Thanksgiving game, then 2, then 3. Now we got 4 Thanksgiving games. So not only are we're stretching everybody out by sending everybody everywhere to play these games, then you're taking holidays away from, and I know people out there, well, poor players, they got to play on Thanksgiving, this, that, and the other. It's not even the point. Like, is it really necessary that every other day, every other Thursday of the year we have 1 game? Is it really necessary that we got to have 4 games? And I mean, let's be honest about it. Is it that necessary that we have 4 games? Don't get me wrong, I love it. I love having opportunities that I know from about noon until whenever I'm good, full, and probably a little tipsy and pass out. I have football in front of me. I mean, don't get me wrong. It usually is not the best quality of games. I mean, we might have 1, pushing 2 out of 4 games that is worth watching. The other ones are usually blowouts. But, yes, I got nonstop football all day long. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, let's be honest at the same time, though. I mean, how many people sit and watch all 4 games? How many people have the time to sit and watch all 4 games? With the traveling and the family and the cooking and everything that goes on. And for those of us that work, I work. I have a job that I'm not going to say I have to work on Thursday. I have to work on Thanksgiving. If I really refused or if I wanted to go out of town, if I had something going on, I could get it off. I choose because my boss lady gives me just about every event. Well, to this point, she has given me every event off that I've needed or wanted. She works around my show schedules. Why make her come in when I get paid time and a half? She's on salary. She doesn't. It only makes more sense for me to come in anyway. And most of the people I know ain't eating until afternoon anyway, at earliest 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I go in at 5 o'clock in the morning, so by 1 o'clock I'm done for the day. I mean, that's 8-hour shift anyway. So it doesn't really bother me, but, there's people out there that got to work on things. Not every, obviously not every company closes. I just think that the system wasn't broken. It seems now more and more the system has become broken. But the system was not broken. And it just seems that they are trying too much or trying too hard to do too much. And it's not even really that necessary. To the quiz. Along with Miami, which city has hosted the most Super Bowls? Most Super Bowls. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say Phoenix. My choices are L.A., San Diego, Phoenix, and New Orleans. I don't think New Orleans. I think San Diego might be my other option. And, wow, it was New Orleans. That's who I should have went with then. I really thought it would have been down to Phoenix or San Diego. But okay. 76% of the quiz done. Let's get to the next one here in a minute. But, I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that can be fixed about the NFL and a lot of things that need to go back to their roots. And instead, they are where is Super Bowl 50 being held? MetLife Stadium, Levi Stadium, University of Phoenix Stadium, or Reliant Stadium? I want to say the Super Bowl this year is in Phoenix. The Arizona Cardinals had an opportunity to make it a home field opportunity here. Nope, Levi Stadium. Very, very so much incorrect. But yeah, I don't know. Too much. Roger Goodell and that front office just a little too much. They trying to. They're working too hard to expose a sport that was already America's number one sport. As I said, they need to focus on what they have and go back to the roots, what made this sport be as popular as this sport was. Speaking of the sport and ruining it, we'll talk about Johnny Manziel for a second. Dallas Cowboys have come out and said they have no interest at all. More so after the latest allegations and legal issues he has with smacking his girlfriend around again, and his run-in with the law. Even his agent is done with him. Everybody's done with him. Father coming out saying that he's denied or declined to go to rehab twice, and feels that his son will be dead by 24. It's a powerful word. To feel that your kid is not going to see 24 years old. It's crazy. It's crazy to know that a player has their whole career in front of them, and gets an opportunity to do something that people would literally die for the opportunity to do. That would give up just about anything and everything to have the opportunity Johnny Manziel has. And instead of embracing it, instead of appreciating it, instead of making the most of it, here you have Johnny Manziel that doesn't want to stop doing the drugs, doesn't want to stop drinking the alcohol, does not want to stop beating his girlfriend up, and is essentially just throwing his career away. I mean, I know that it can't be that tough, that you have to be doing the drugs and drinking the alcohol. I've seen pictures of your girlfriend. I know that it can't be that tough to be with her, and that tough. The money you got and the spotlight that you're on and the stage that you get the opportunity to be on, I guarantee if she's really that horrible that you got to keep smacking her around, I guarantee you can find someone else that you get along with that you wouldn't have to put your hands on. If it's one of those scenarios where, you know, and I'm not saying there ever should be a scenario, but, you know, you got people in there, well, it's her, blah, 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 you know, we just constantly fight. Well, I guarantee that you can find somebody out there that you will get along with, that is your mate, that your soulmate, your perfect, your peanut butter to your jelly sandwich, or your whatever the case, however you want to say it, the milk to the cereal, the butter with the syrup, the cinnamon to the toast. I mean, come on, we do this all day long. You can find somebody else. Instead, it is obvious that you have an issue. And it's crazy because here you are, not even 24 years old. There are some people out there that honestly believe that you could be a good quarterback. I'm not one of them. I never saw it at Texas A&M. But there's people out there that believe you can honestly be a good quarterback. You had a team that didn't have to move down in the draft to get you, but they moved down. They gave up. They gave up draft picks to get you, even though they didn't have to. But they chose to. They voluntarily. Nobody else wanted you. The only team that even rumored about wanting you, they'd already drafted like 5 picks before you got picked. They've given you opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. Hold on. I hear it again. Yeah. After opportunity. Rehab. The constant partying. The slapping your girlfriend around not once but twice. With the cops being involved every time. It finally took 2 years of you doing nothing but acting straight a fool. Before someone finally just said, you know what, we're done. And most of the league finally saying, you know what, we're done. We can't do this no more. We cannot. We will not. According to Fortune magazine, what is the average cost for a 30-second commercial for Super Bowl 50? I know it used to be $1 million. I can only imagine what the answer is going to be. I'm going to go with $3 million. I got 1, 3, 5, and 10 as my choices. I would like to believe that nobody's paying $5 or $10 million. I would like to believe nobody's going to pay $3 million. I'd like to believe the answer is still $1 million, which is still ridiculously stupid anyway. But I would like to honestly believe nobody's paying $5 or $10 million, and I am. Drum roll, please. Oh my God, I am incorrect. $5 million for a 30-second commercial for Super Bowl 50. I understand that I am not going to have the audience for at such a Super Bowl 50, but I tell you what, all those companies out there that want to throw $5 million away for 30 seconds, I could drop a whole bunch of zeros off of that, and I could play 30-second commercials multiple times a show for multiple months. I'm just throwing that out there. $5 million. Good God Almighty. Could you imagine being a CEO of a company? I can't even afford to put a $50 commercial out somewhere. It's not alone a $5 million commercial. That's only going to last 30 seconds. Or 30 seconds. You know, a lot of people act like I'm holding an arm and a leg when the price I gave the last time, which is not I'll tell you, well under $100. I'll tell you that much. And I'm willing to give you 100 30-second commercials in a month, 50 Twitter mentions, 50 Facebook mentions, a spot on our website, and a spot on our blog site for well under $100 a month. And these companies are paying $5 million for a 30-second spot. That's the insanity. What was the first wild card team to win a Super Bowl? You got the Giants, the Packers, the Oakland Raiders, and the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to go with the New York Giants. I know they have done it twice. I don't know if they were the first to do it. back then, how the playoff system was set up. But $5 million. I tell you what, if those that are tuning in or just tuned in, tonight's show is just Super Bowl talk. It's a Super Bowl party. You missed it earlier, throwing out some of the records, Super Bowl records that are still standing. And then kind of gave my opinion on which ones may be broken this weekend. Just we're having a fun time tonight. It's all about the Super Bowl, all about the NFL tonight. But I tell you what, some of those commercials throughout the history of the Super Bowl commercials, one of those things that's always fun to sit down and watch that. And I'm sure if I flip through the channels, we would find a show dedicated to Super Bowl commercials playing sometime this weekend. And, we got some of those commercials already leaking out, so we get to already see some of the commercials that are going to be playing Sunday. Which, like I said, I'm not a big fan of that. I don't mind the ones getting leaked that were too hot for TV and aren't going to see any playtime on Super Bowl Sunday, but for $5 million for a 30-second spot, I don't think that any company should make it available for anybody, any company's commercial to be revealed before that Super Bowl, where they get that full exposure and the surprise and the reaction out of everybody. That's what Super Bowl commercial is all about. Next question. How many people are estimated to have watched the Super Bowl in 2015? You got 82 million, 93 million, 114 million, or 200 million. I'm going to give 114 million, and that was correct. What are you going to know? Just random shot in the dark on that one. 114 million. So 114 million people watched the Super Bowl, and it cost a company $5 million for a 30-second a 30-second commercial. So, of course, we know me. And for those that are listening to the show right now, or maybe you're catching it later on iTunes or Stitcher or Spreaker or SoundCloud, or maybe you're going to be tuning in tomorrow on the I-95 Sports Network. Any which way you're catching it, you already know that the calculator has come out. Because Mr. CJ Sports is all about Mr. CJ Sports is all about some numbers here. So I got to be curious. We got messages coming in, but 114 people are listening. Or 114 million people are projected last year to have watched the Super Bowl. Might not have quite the numbers because it's just the Denver Broncos and the Carolina Panthers. It's not like it's the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. So let's go 110 by going 110. So 110. $5 million. 110 million viewers. You're looking at people are paying about 50 cents a person to watch their commercial. That's what it boils down to. I guess that doesn't seem as extreme when you got 110 people. 110 million people listening to your show. Other than the fact that it must just be nice to have that kind of money sitting around, but just to think $5 million on a 30-second commercial, it amazes me. But I guess let's say for some freak reason this year that the viewers are up. Growing sport. You're looking at about 40 cents 41.6 cents a person is what they're paying, essentially. So only 4 teams have never played in the Super Bowl. Which of these do not belong on this list? You got the Houston Texans, the Detroit Lions, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, you can remove the Cincinnati Bengals, who played in 2 Super Bowls and lost to the 49ers both times, and both of them were at the end of the game that the 49ers ended up winning that game. You can you could plug the other Ohio team into that, and that would be your 4 teams that never played in the Super Bowl. So I will pick the Cincinnati Bengals to be that team that does not belong on the list of Super Bowl contending teams. That are teams that have never been to the Super Bowl. And I believe that either answers the last question, we'll lose that 96%, or there's going to be one final question. And we're about to find out. Wrap this quiz up. What are my percentages at this point? I know it's about 3 or 4 out of the whole list of, and it's taken us almost an hour and a half to fill out this quiz. But, yeah. I'm still kind of stuck on that number, $5 million. My results, I had 0 correct, 0 incorrect. Number of questions, 0%. For all that, and I got all zeros. Oh, goodness. All zeros. Anyway. You know when your company is doing well, when you are able to have a commercial during the Super Bowl. I don't know, even if we become a very successful network here, obviously CBS or Fox or anybody else that holds a Super Bowl is not going to allow us to have our commercial on their network anyway. But because I have never seen like ESPN on Fox Sports, commercial for ESPN or anything. But with that said, I don't even if I was, we were the most successful company to be not an ESPN or a Fox Sports, and we had our ducks in the line. I don't think I could ever fork out $5 million to have a 30-second commercial. I just don't think I could do it. Something says no, not ever going to happen. Make sure you guys tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. from the 110 Nation Morning Show. Check out the 110 Nation Sports Show every Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. You can check out the Happy Hour Garage Saturday night at 7 p.m. You can also check out the Dirt Talk Hour Sunday night at 9 p.m. Also, don't forget, tomorrow at noon we have a special edition of the Happy Hour Garage. They did a couple editions last week, and due to the timing and the platforms that we are on, we couldn't get it locked in time so we could have them all played last week. So tomorrow at noon here on the Blog Talk Radio Network, you'll have your opportunity to check out the Happy Hour Garage. A very good show, a show that we enjoy having on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. As a matter of fact, if you're interested in if you have a show out there and you would like to have it syndicated or rebroadcast on our network, or maybe you're a journalist out there and you want to write for our blog site, all you got to do is hit me up, mrcjsports@gmail.com. As we continue to grow, obviously we have a demand to have more shows, and also a demand to have journalists so we can continue developing and expanding our blog site. Also, if you're interested in coming on the show, maybe you're an athlete, part of some kind of athletic organization, team, whatever the case may be. Maybe you got a show or site you want to come on and promote it and talk sports, or maybe you have some kind of charity or foundation and you would like to come on and promote it and talk about it. Hit up Miss Lee. That is LEE_110nation@yahoo.com. She would love to have you come on the show, schedule a time to have you come on the show. Don't forget, next week we got Cole. Oh, goodness. I got to make sure I got this lineup right here. I know who we got Tuesday, and I want to say I know who we got Wednesday. But I got to make sure before I put this out. Now, I know going into the next week, we already got five guests lined up, and I tell you what, I was working my darndest last night trying to secure a couple other opportunities for the beginning of next week. With this week being the way it was, and everybody we had on the show, like I said yesterday, it was one of those things that, we used to just be a Monday through Wednesday show, and it wasn't until about the beginning of the year, and when we expanded over to the I-95 Sports Network, that we went to being 5 days a week, providing them with 5 shows a week, and then of course they picked up Dirt Talk, the Dirt Talk Hour, and everything else. But Monday through Wednesday, we nailed it. This Thursday and Friday stuff, we got to start finding some guests to expand into. But earlier this week, with Allie Kern from the Driver Diversity Program, Tim Clegg, the PR over at Mason Mitchell Motorsports, author Rashad Mitchell, ARCA Series driver Gus Dean, our NHL expert Izzo, Carolina Hurricanes Dak Boychuk, car owner and crew chief Mark Rett from Rett Jones Racing, and then Dominique yesterday, Wednesday. The way are just some of the guests that we had on earlier this week. It was fun. I tell you what, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I just don't know. It was hard to contain myself with the excitement that what we had going on. But we got, and like I said, we working hard. We got a handful of things going on that we're trying to get things locked in and trying to get back to where Miss Lee. Oh, Monday we got. See, that didn't tell me none. That is not the answer I was looking for. Right here. We got, yes, that's what I thought we got on Monday. Monday we got Cole Powell. He was the big announcement over at Triple M yesterday, and he's going to be running for them at the Daytona for the ARCA Series. So we're going to have him on Monday. Tuesday we have Mason Mitchell himself, team owner of Triple M. And Job Jr. from the Drive for Diversity program. We had him on last year. Of course, we've had Mason Mitchell on 3 times already, and the reason I know the exact number is the running joke we have. He came on the first time, he won the championship the next weekend, came on the next time, he won at Iowa, came on the next time, won at Kansas. So hopefully, since he's not running at Daytona, as far as I know of anyway, I think it's just Cole Powell and Gus Dean. Hopefully we are able to, and I don't know if this good luck just pertains to him driving or if it pertains to his team driving, but hopefully we bring them some good luck at Daytona and they're able to find themselves in victory lane. And then on Wednesday we also have Dylan Lupton making his return to the show. We've had him on before as well, so getting to have a nice little roster of people showing up this upcoming week as well, and hopefully we'll make a couple additions to that. As we're definitely working hard behind the scene with trying to bring one more guest on, and not just as next week's roster is full of a bunch of race car drivers and those from the racing scene. We're definitely trying to continue bringing athletes in from other sports. That's kind of been my big focus over this 2016 was bringing in other athletes and having a wide variety of guests. That's important to me. And I know the guests love it, or the guests love it, but I know that the fans love it, and they love hearing from the athletes, and it doesn't really, I don't think it really matters to a lot of people who we have, as long as we got some athletes coming on the show. But I take it a little bit more personal because it's an all-sports show, and it's getting easier and easier as we're creeping up on 5 years here, and becoming an LLC has also helped a lot of things. But golly, San Antonio putting the beat down on Dallas, not to get sidetracked, but a 32-point lead, not even at halftime yet, 58-26. That's horrible. That's beyond horrible. 0 for 5 downtown for Dallas, while San Antonio 6 for 12. San Antonio 22 for 38 from the field, 58%, while Dallas is 12 for 33, just 36%. Free throws, San Antonio perfect, 8 for 8. Dallas 2 for 4. But yes, San Antonio was putting a beat down. And a little bit more about the Johnny Manziel, the whole situation. His ex-girlfriend now wants to pursue charges, and rightfully so. Like I said, it's not the first time he's put his hands on her. And obviously, unless she finally ends it, it is not going to be the last time he puts his hands on her. And I'm just glad to see that, Johnny football can't be larger than life on this one. And, I'm glad I'm going to be able to proudly start pulling out more and more of my Cleveland Brown stuff. I mean, I got the little bear here that my kid got me, and I got this little cup thing that is missing the actual inside of it. You actually put a soda can, a 12-ounce can in it, and it kept it cool. I never know what happens to this thing that went inside the helmet. I use it as a pencil holder or a pen holder now. I've had this thing since I was a kid. I don't remember when we got this thing or where it even came from. I know it was something that I acquired or was given to me back when I was probably still in elementary school, and I just managed to hold on to it. But yes, now that Johnny Manziel is no longer going to be part of the organization, and I don't have to hold my head low, that'll be something nice. Oh God, Boston came back and beat Cleveland 104-103. How disappointing. We'll talk about some of these games here in a second, but we got somebody. Here's a fix for Roger Goodell's Pro Bowl problem, and this ought to be interesting because I have my ideas here. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell finally said what we already knew: the Pro Bowl isn't working. He could have reached further at Friday's annual pre-Super Bowl media address. The word embarrassment comes to mind. Rather than developing a showcase for stars, the event has devolved into a glorified walkthrough. Now it sadly is a bookend of two things fans hate: preseason games and pre-Super Bowl shame. But there's hope. Goodell said he is open to new ideas. Here are a few which could be considered a Pro Bowl booster shot. Ditch the game. We are growing exponentially smarter about long-term physical consequences of playing football, so it's irresponsible to ask players to risk themselves in a full contact situation in an expedition game. The franchise don't want that. The players don't want it. The fans surely aren't interested in having stars put in harm's way for what amounts to an NFL infomercial. That doesn't mean the ceremony of naming Pro Bowlers should stop. This is still an integral part of recognizing accomplishments on the field and a popularity within the game. It gives the fans a voice and stimulates conversation about some of the best aspects of the NFL. It may not be the same kind of accolade as the all-pro nod, but it's the next tier of respect for players who have some mixture of high performance on the field and high visibility amongst fans. Taking that away would be a mistake. The point is to retain the honor, but they're locked up. And I'll finish in a second. Okay, we got one of two ways that I would love to see this go. We can either have a reason for this Pro Bowl game to be played and it matter, and obviously with the possibility of physical harm, obviously that's probably not the better of the two. I always look at it as, okay, if they're going to play and we're going to continue to have the Pro Bowl with the full contact, then they need to have a purpose. They need to dictate your Super Bowls. And what I always looked at is, okay, if we're voting 3 or 4 years out for the Super Bowl, you get down to your finalists. You get down to your two choices. And just out of craps and giggles, we could say, okay, it could come down to being played at Heinz Field, or it could be played at the University of Phoenix, the Arizona's home. Okay, now that's where we got it down final to, and see, this is kind of taken away from my idea right here, but they talk about a quarterback competition to. I want to see a little bit more. This is what I'm going to talk about here in a second. But whoever won the Super Bowl, there's the Pro Bowls. If the NFC team, then obviously it would go to the Arizona Stadium. If the AFC team won, then obviously it would go to the Steelers Stadium. And that's how I always looked at it. Okay, now let's take a second back. Let's say, okay, because of the physicality of this sport, we no longer need to have a full contact Pro Bowl. Fine. I can fully understand, accept, and acknowledge that there is a good reason for not having full contact at the Pro Bowl. So this is what the NFL needs to do. Let's make this fun for the fans and an entertaining scenario. So what we have is a quarterback competition to be one of them, where we have those moving targets that are connected to the go-karts or the golf carts or whatever they connect them to, or however that works, where they got the hole in the board and you have the quarterback competition. Make it a little bit different scenarios where they got to maneuver around, hit the targets, throw a long ball, hit a target. Then have a running back competition where you have the best of the best. You have a little obstacle course where they got to run through the tires or run through the strings or, run in between, tackling dummy. And the fastest one, wins. Receiving, we can do this for all types of different positions. Well, at least your running backs, your quarterbacks, your wide receivers, even your kickers. Well, why not have, okay, you got the league's top, 4 on each side, and you have a field goal competition. You set it up where, they kick from the 20-yard line, and they kick from the left hash, dead center, right hash. Then back it up 10 yards. Left hash, center, right hash. Back it up 10 yards. And to see who knocks down the most. And then we can even do that for the punters. Why not give some recognition to the punters? Put them in a scenario where they need to drop the ball as accurately into the hole as possible. Or where the longest punts, the most accurate punts, and whatever the case may be. Then when it's all said and done, now the fans have had fun, be able to watch the best of the best in the positions compete on being the most accurate or the fastest or the best hands or the best field goal kicker, the best punter. Then let's just turn it into a flag football game. Now the fans get to see some kind of actual competition and see these players actually compete. And then it turns into a fun flag football game. I mean, let's be honest, that's no more than what it really is now. I mean, did we honestly see a running back get tackled in the Pro Bowl? I can't recall one time actually seeing a running back get tackled. I'm sure there was a time or two, but I know after halftime it got to the point that they just kind of blew the whistle when the running back pretty much got hit. So why not take out that element, because we know that they're not going to try to hurt each other or really tackle each other anyway. So let's not even put the fans' hopes up for disappointment there. So we spend the first half of the day, what was it, like 6, 7 o'clock that the game went on? So let's, Eastern time anyway. So let's about noonish, 1 o'clock or whatever, let's say 1 o'clock Eastern time. Let's start this competition. And it's something obviously is going to take 2, 3, 4 hours. And those that participate in it also participate in the football game. And just go out there and have fun with it. I think that the fans would have a lot more respect. I know I would. if I got to see them play at the highest level possible, and this also would also possibly bring in some of the players, one, that either don't want to play in it, or B, they're even in the Super Bowl. I mean, what would it hurt to play a flag football game? I mean, the odds are they're still not going to play because they don't want to take a chance of spraining something or tearing something, running around the field playing flag football. But you're going to have a lot less athletes backing out. Outside of, and I think that should be the only exception. If you're in the Super Bowl, you're exempt. Anybody else, if you're selected, there's no exemption unless you're actually hurt and you're medically you cannot play. But I think that the fans would have a lot more respect knowing that we were getting an actual competition. We're actually going to see, these players in their position play as hard. Now, obviously, we can still, because, people, like the article said, people want to get recognized for being the best center or the best tackle or whatever. Yeah, you can go ahead and select and go ahead and vote for the rest of the positions that are not going to have an actual skilled position. We're still going to use them in flag football anyway, so, they can still be selected. I mean, the odds of them having really that much of an impact on the game, especially since it's flag football. And obviously, you're not going to have a full roster out there. Because I think most flag football games, you have a center and two guards, and that's really it. A tight end, a couple of receivers, and basically you want a 7-on-7 scenario. But I just think that the fans would already know what to expect. And let's be honest, I probably watched 3 Pro Bowls my whole life. I have watched more quarterback competitions and other competitions than I've ever watched Pro Bowls. So why get my hopes up and hype something that is only going to be a disappointment when, okay, going into next year, we're going to do a skills competition. And even with the linemen, you could do that because these are big guys. You can have them doing the tire thing where they're flipping tires and, still have them run, the 40 or run the 10-yard dash or whatever the case may be. I mean, you could find ways to get everybody involved. That way we get to see their skill set. We get to enjoy them not only out there competing at a high level, but having fun doing it. It's going to be fun to watch, and it's going to be fun to participate. I mean, to watch these quarterbacks trying to hit these targets that are moving and hit these holes that are really no bigger than the size of the football that are 10 yards out, 20 yards out, 30, 50 yards out that are moving, and watch them try to, compete at a high level, but it's got to be fun to do it. How could that be how could that not be a success? Or watch these running backs run through some kind of obstacle course, or do the tire drill, or the little square rope drill, whatever it's called. Ball handling as people try to strip the ball out, or like I said, set up some tackling. The tackling dummies or the blocking bags, and have them run some kind of course with the football, and take a hand off it, and you got so many seconds to. There's just so many different things you could do with it that would keep the fans entertained. And yes, I understand that they're not going to be able to have this all televised on one sit down. I know that the NFL is not going to pay to have CBS or Fox televise it from 1 o'clock all the way through the afternoon until they play the Pro Bowl game or whatever the case may be, but it gives the fans something to get their money's worth for traveling. I mean, did you see that stadium? Did you see how empty it was? Like, there was hardly anybody there. Give them the reason to want to spend that money to go. Have them have a reason to want to travel to Hawaii to see the game and see this whole competition. I mean, a whole day, not just one game of halfway football. For that money, now they get to watch the whole day. And they get to watch competition, and they get to watch a flag football game. At least they know it's going to be a flag football game, and it's going to be fun. And you know what to expect. And I'm sorry, but I would probably be more entertained watching guys try to avoid having a flag ripped off of them versus watching a running back go into the line and just kind of stop and the whistle be blown. I mean, at least this way, I mean, could you imagine some of the greats in the football right now, running backs, putting in an actual effort because they know they're not going to get hit. I mean, they're going to be out there in jerseys and, I guess the best way so they can identify their team, I guess the best way we would do it is wear a Pro Bowl jersey and their team shorts because they're not going to wear a helmet out there. That's just, there's really no point because there's not going to be no contact. That way their team still gets recognized out there and they're all in uniform. And make them wear their team shorts and, the Pro Bowl jersey. But could you imagine watching, and all they need to do is just, that gives ESPN an opportunity, let's say from 1 to 4 it's a competition, Super Bowl or the Pro Bowl ain't until, 7 o'clock. That gives you 2 hours before 6 o'clock. And you can even do it earlier. And give the fans an opportunity in between the competition and the Pro Bowl, to get autographs and hang out and kind of intermission and everything else. And it gives, ESPN or Fox or whatever an opportunity to kind of edit it and shorten it up to a shorter version and give us like an hour or 2 hours before the Super Bowl, the Pro Bowl, to watch this. And so we get to see it. And then it leads into the Pro Bowl. I mean, there's definitely ways to make this happen. It's all about how important this weekend really is to the NFL. How important is it to the NFL fan? And I think we'll get more of an idea when they take the time after the season to sit down and reevaluate this once again. I knew that once they changed it up and made it where, it was kind of 2 all-star teams. It wasn't the AFC versus the NFC. I knew at that point that they hadn't improved anything. Actually, they went in the wrong direction because now it's no longer about NFC versus AFC pride. Now it's just kind of whatever where we got selected to Team Urban or Team Rice's team. And yes, a lot of people have a lot of respect for Jerry Rice. And statistically, people have respect for Michael Irvin, but as a person, I don't think that Michael Irvin holds a lot of respect, or as much respect as people would like to think, I guess. All the issues he's had off and the drug issue he had, I think there was more of a pride thing when it was the NFC versus the AFC versus it being Team Rice versus Team Irvin. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely ways to fix this, and there's definitely ways that it may never be like the NHL, and it may never be like NASCAR, and it may never be like Major League Baseball, where it is 100% like a regular season game because of the lack of interest, first of all, but the physicality. I mean, the NBA and the NFL kind of sit both in the same boat, and there's just really no interest from the players to putting on a product. And it's really a shame because that's more the lack. And this is really the San Antonio-Dallas game is getting out of hand as it's about to be a 60-point differential going into the halftime. As it's now 62-26 as it just keeps getting worse and worse for the Dallas Mavericks, who was really not that bad of a team, 28-24. But anyway, there's just really no interest when it comes to the NFL players or the NBA players. And it's really a shame because, players, fans out there want to watch the all-star team versus an all-star team. And you just don't get that. And I know part of the reason for the NFL is because of physicality. But, it wasn't this whole concussion thing and the injury thing wasn't really a big thing until recently, and the Pro Bowl's been garbage for many, many years at this point. But they definitely need to find a way to make this something that is a priority and a must if they want to have their all-stars recognized. Now, if they want to do away with it, then the way the product has been on the field for the last handful of years, especially, when it comes to the Pro Bowl, then I'm just as down with that as them, doing the competition thing. But if they do that, then no, unlike that article, I don't agree. You don't need to recognize your Pro Bowlers. You got your first teams this and your all pros that. You leave it at that. If you're not going to have a Pro Bowl and you're not actually going to do something to make the fans want to participate or want to watch or the players to participate, then there should not be any recognition of a Pro Bowl team. So that part I don't agree with because it's either one way or the other. But I'm really fine with either way, but I would like for them to either do some kind of competition skills thing part of the day or even it be on Saturday and let the fans have, the fans that have a 2-day ticket, they do it 2 days. They get access to be in the stadium 2 days. If that's, a better scenario for the fans and the NFL where they do that on Saturday and, and then that way they have the whole 24 hours to kind of cut it, edit, and make it a shorter version, maybe an hour or two before the Pro Bowl. That works just as well. But with that being said, I want the fans to be able to have 2-day access. I don't want them to have to buy or purchase a ticket for Saturday and purchase a ticket for Sunday. I think if you make that trip all the way out to Hawaii, then you should be able to have access to both days worth of competition out there. Around the NBA right now, we got Utah and Milwaukee in the fourth. A very low-scoring game. Utah up 65-64 with a little over 9 minutes left in the fourth. In the third, you got Chicago just went up 79. Well, they were already up, but 79-67 in Denver with about 3.5 minutes left in the third. Getting ready to go to the half with San Antonio and Dallas. Like I said, almost a 40-point differential there. Dallas, San Antonio. And the thing is in Dallas. Like, I could imagine being a fan and knowing that my team was already down by about 40 points at the half. And want to sit there to watch a second half of this. That's just insanity there. Games that finalized already. Washington won at home over Philadelphia, 106-94. Atlanta over Indiana. I was watching that game a little bit earlier tonight. A really good game to watch as Atlanta rolls over Indiana, 102-96. Clippers travel to Orlando and are victorious, and they're doing really well without Blake Griffin. 107-93. Miami in Charlotte. It was another close, tight game. Miami wins 98-95 over the Hornets. New York at home loses to Memphis 91-85. Brooklyn, I tell you what, that's kind of a shock to me that Brooklyn not only won but was able to put up 128 points, but 128-119 over Sacramento. And like I said, Boston ended up coming back and being victorious over Cleveland 104-103. As Boston outscored Cleveland that last period 39-30. I tell you what, I really thought that was Cleveland's game to win, as they were up 32-20 to start off that game, and led pretty much the whole game all the way until they got in the fourth. But Bradley's three-pointer at the horn gives Boston the 104-103 win. LeBron James scored 30 points tonight. That's right there. That's your problem. When all three of those guys score 20 points or above, they're victorious. And Kevin Love only was able to hit 10 points, was only 4 of 10 and from the field, 2 of 6 and 3 points. Only played 21 minutes. Obviously, not the greatest of nights for Kevin Love, as Kyrie Irving didn't hit 20 points either with just 19 points. LeBron James, like I said, that 30 points and kind of carried the rest of the team. Nobody really stood out on the Boston side. Isaiah Thomas, 22 points. Evan Turner, 19 points. Tyler Zeller, 16 points. Bradley, three-pointer, only had 14 points. So he was 4 from 8 from downtown. So only made one shot outside of the three-pointers, but all that mattered was that last one. as he made a corner jumper at the horn to give the Boston the win over Cleveland in Cleveland. I think that was more of the shock to me about it was the fact that they were in Cleveland. But Cleveland, I tell you what, they've been kind of up and down with the new coach. So obviously, it's a little bit more internal than what the Cleveland Cavaliers is now. They've lost 2 straight, while Toronto has won 2 straight, and Toronto creeping up on taking that top spot. They're only 2 games out from being the best in the East. Cleveland still holding on to it, winning 7 of their last 10. Boston on a nice little run as well, winning 8 of the last 10, 3-game win streak. But Cleveland, obviously, they got to do some soul searching if they want to have any shot of being the Eastern Conference representative. Golden State, that 8-game win streak still impressive of what they're doing. Winning 9 of the last 10, just 4 losses in 49 games. It doesn't get any better than that. A lot of people still high on that Oklahoma train. I tell you what, that Oklahoma train ain't impressing me now. I'm sorry. I know there's Oklahoma fans listening out there, but I'm sorry, but you got 2 guys, and that's it. I just don't see it. I just don't see it lasting. Every year they fall short. Every year, it is what it is. So anyway, don't forget, check us out Monday through Friday, 9 a.m., 110 Nation Morning Show. Monday through Friday, 9 p.m., the 110 Nation Sports Show. We got Happy Hour Garage Sunday night, 7 p.m. And we got the Dirt Talk Hour, 9 p.m. on Sunday night. So make sure you guys tune in to all those shows. Like I said, if you got a show out there and you would like an opportunity to rebroadcast it or syndicate it onto our network to help get more exposure and help us to use some of the more of the time that we are paying for, or you're a journalist out there and you would like an opportunity to write for the 110 Nation, all you do is hit me at MrCJSports@gmail.com. Also, if you're interested in coming on the show, all you got to do is hit up Miss Lee. If you're an athlete, part of some kind of athletic organization, team, or whatnot, or maybe you have a show or site and you want to come on and promote it, talk sports, or maybe you got a charity or a foundation and you'd like to come on and promote that, hit up Miss Lee. That's LEE_110Nation@yahoo.com. You can follow me at CJ Sports1. You can follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Check me out on Facebook, my personal fan page, Mr. CJ Sports, the 110 Nation fan page, 110 Nation Sports. Check out our blog site, www.the110nationsports.com. We've had about 8 or 9 things come out in the last 2 days, so make sure you guys check that out. Or check out our company site, www.the110nation.com, for all the latest going on here at the 110 Nation. Don't forget, we got Cole Powell joining us Monday night. Looking forward to having him on the show. We got Mason Mitchell, the owner of Triple M Racing, who Cole Powell is going to be driving for at Daytona in the ARCA Series. We got him and Jay Jr. joining us Tuesday night. And then, of course, Wednesday night we got Izzo, our NHL expert, and we got Dylan Lumpton so far scheduled for us for the beginning of next week. So looking forward to having all these great guests on, as Cole is a new first time, but all the rest of them have been on at least once already. So love having repeats. It makes you feel good when you know when the guests are willing to come back and want to come back. Mason Mitchell, let's make his fourth trip to the 110 Nation studio. That tells you a little something about what you do here and how we do this show. And it's really a compliment to us, and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm really doing my job well when we get these repeat guests come on the show. As this week alone, Allie Kern was a repeat, Tim Clegg was a repeat, Rashard Mitchell was a repeat, and Mark Rett was a repeat. So it's not just periodically. We get a lot of these great athletes coming back, and it is really great for that to happen. And so glad we're going to have all these people back, and glad to have an opportunity to sit down with everybody and see, kind of catch up with everybody and just see how it's going. And so definitely make sure you guys tune in for that, and looking forward to another great week here at the One Ten Nation. We've had a phenomenal week so far. Of course, I don't know how Thursday and today's stats are. I won't know them until tomorrow, Sunday. We don't get stats for about 48 hours after the shows have been done. So it's always a waiting game, but I can tell you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we were definitely grinning from ear to ear as we continue to grow, not only, the Blog Talk Radio, but all the platforms, and to include our social media. It continues to grow. Definitely working hard at, working on some of the weaker aspects of the 110 Nation, but we'll definitely keep doing what we're doing, and definitely look forward to being back at it again next week. You guys have a great weekend. Make sure you guys like and follow us on Twitter. Follow me at CJ Sports One. Follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. I would love to get your guys' opinions on the Super Bowl this weekend, the commercials, the action, the calls. Make sure you guys are tweeting us and talking and jabbing elbows. Like I said, I pray to God that the Denver Broncos win, but I think that the Panthers will win it. So that gives you plenty there to go with in jabbing elbows at me. But you guys have a great weekend, and we'll definitely be back at this Monday morning.
Thanks for listening to the 110 Nation Sports Show with Mr. CJ Sports. You are a part of the 110 Nation, so be sure to visit the110nation.com for everything related to the show. You can follow CJ on Twitter at 110 Nation and on Facebook at 110 Nation Sports. Until next time.
There are lots of things you can spend your tax refund on, but one thing you don't have to spend it on, a new smartphone. Switch to Metro PCS now and get not one, but 2 free 4G LTE smartphones for brands like Samsung and LG. Plus, you're on T-Mobile's blazing fast nationwide 4G LTE network. Hurry! Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free smartphones after instant rebate. One heck of a deal, only at Metro PCS. Limited time offer. Sales tax not included in phone price. Coverage and services not available everywhere. See store for details and terms and conditions.